1 second, I'm nearly there. Okay. Shri Narsingha, Jai Narsingha, Jai Jai Narsingha. Shri Narsingha, Jai Narsingha, Jai Jai Narsingha. Shri Narsingha, Jai Narsingha, Jai Jai Narsingha. Namaste Jasate Jase Avira Avir Bhava Vajranakha Vajradamstra Karma Shayan Randhaya Randhaya Tamo Grasa Grasa Om Swaha Om Swaha Abhayam Abhayamatmani Bhuishtha Om Shram Om Shram Om Shram Ugram Viram Mahavishnu Jwalantam Sarvato Mukham Narsimham Bhishanam Bhadram Mrityur Mrityum Namamyaham Traipistapor Bhayahasa Narsimha Rupam Krutva Brahmat Brukutidam Sakarala Vaktram Daitendra Masu Gadaya Bhipatanta Maharaj Uro Nipate Vidada Nakhaihi Spurantam Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Vagisha Yasya Vadane Lakshmir Yasya Cha Vakshasi Yasyaste Hrudaye Samvit Tam Nrsimham Aham Bhaje. I worship Lord Narsimhadev, in whose mouth resides all masters of eloquence, on whose chest resides Sri Lakshmi Devi forever, whose heart is the source of all consciousness. I worship Lord Narsimhadev. Garjantam Garjayantam Nijapuja Patalam Sfotayantam Hatantam Rupayantam Tapayantam Divibhuviditijam Kshepayantam Kshipantam Vikshantam Karkrandantam Roshayantam Dishirithi Satatam Sanharantam Bharantam Vikshantam Purnayantam Karanikara Shater Divya Simham Namami Divya Simham Namami Divya Simham Namami. Lord Narsimhadeva roars loudly and causes others to roar with his multitudes of arms. He tears the demons asunder and kills them in this way. He is always seeking out and tormenting the demonic descendants of deity, both on this earth planet and the high planets. And he throws them down and scatters them. He cries with great anger as he destroys the demons in all the directions. Yet with his unlimited hands, he sustains, protects, and nourishes the entire cosmic manifestation. Offer my respectful obeisances unto the Lord, who has assumed the form of a transcendental lion. Namaste Narsimhaya, Namaste Narsimhaya, प्रहलाद लाद दायिने हिरण्याकशिपूर्वक्षः शिलाटङ्कानकलाये इतो नृसिंह परतो नृसिंह यतो यतो यमि ततो नृसिंह बहि नृसिंह हृदये नृसिंह नरसिंहमदिं शरणं प्रपदे अवकर कमलवरे नाखम् अद्भुत श्रृंगं दलिता हिरण्यकशिपु तनुभृङ्गं केशवधृता नरहरि रूपा जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे अगर कमलवरे नाखम् अद्भुत श्रृंगं दलिता हिरण्यकशिपु तनुभृङ्गा केशवधृता नरहरि रूपा जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे तव केशवधृता नरहरि रूपा जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे तव केशवधृता नरहरि रूपा जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय नृसिंहदेव 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 जय नृसिंहदेव जय नृसिंहदेव जय प्रहलाद महाराज जय प्रहलाद महाराज जय प्रहलाद महाराज जय प्रहलाद महाराज निताई गौर हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल निताई गौर हरि बोल जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 जय जय प्रभुपाद जय जय गुरुदेव 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 जय जय गुरुदेव जय गुरुदेव जय गुरुदेव जय श्री लक्ष्मी नृसिंह भगवान की जय श्रील प्रहलाद महाराज की जय श्री उग्र नृसिंह भगवान की जय श्री प्रहलाद नृसिंह भगवान की जय श्रील प्रहलाद महाराज की जय श्री निताई गौरचंद्र परिमानंदे हरि हरि बोल श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय श्रील गुरुदेव की जय नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपदाय भूतले श्रीमती महाविष्णु गोस्वामी नामिने नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपदाय भूतले श्रीमती भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवी गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी Hare Krishna. So very nice to meet all of you, wonderful devotees, and I'm sure you would have noticed our festival which devotees celebrated at their homes. Yeah, I can't see you, so you will have to speak. Unfortunately, okay. Anyway, right. So wonderful. I think it was great. How did you all feel? I think we loved it, all of us. Having a big festival at home is best, It's the best. Home becomes a temple. Prabhu Vaikuntha. Jai. Okay, so we will start with the realizations, devotees realizations, and I also would like to share a couple of videos how to find out how to do it with all this on the phone and all that. Yeah. So please jump in and take the lead. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Thank you, Amrish Prabhu, for giving me the opportunity and organizing this nice program on this auspicious day, Lord Narsimhadeva Chaturthi, the Parents' Day, and Guru Maharaj Sannyas accepting day. So it's very auspicious day, and yes, we all feel very much very good celebrating festival at home. Actually, I invited my sister and she came and was still here. So we had little kirtan also. So it was very, very nice for me. And thank you for engaging us. So, so I what I realized today is my realization is on Lord Narsimhadev, that who is very merciful on devotees and very dangerous for demons. Now, when devotees in danger, they pray to Narsimhadev, and all the fear and anxiety goes away. Actually, this fear and anxiety is part of our lives, and every one of us have fear and anxiety in material world. But this pastime of the Lord, we see fearlessness of Prahlad Maharaj and fear of the Hiranyakashipu. Devotees of the Lord become fearless under the shelter of the Lord. Actually, there is a verse in Srimad Bhāgavatam, Canto 5, verse 18. Sorry, chapter 18, verse 8. This is the prayer that Prabhuji was singing before. It's one of the verses of that. Om Namo Bhagavate Narsimhaya Namaste Tejase Avir Bhava Vajranakha Vajdamstra Karma Sayan Randhaya Tamo Grasha Om Swaha Abhyam Atmani Bhuishta Om Shom Om Shom Om Shom. Translation by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. I offer my respectful obeisances unto Lord Narsimhadev, the source of all power. O my Lord, who possesses nails and teeth just like thunderbolts, kindly vanquish our demon-like desires for fruitive activity in this material world. Please appear in our hearts and drive away our ignorance, so that by your mercy we may become fearless in the struggle for existence in this material world. Yeah. So, Srila Prabhupada said in the purport that any devotee aspiring to be free of material desires should offer his respectful prayers to Narsimhadev, as Prahlad Maharaj did in this verse. So as long as we have material desires, fear is inevitable. When we are attached to our sense gratification, fear and anxiety comes. Actually, this attachment is the cause of fear. But attachment to the Lord gives us fearlessness. Attached person is a weak person. We compromise truth in attachment. So this fear and anxiety only Lord can take away from our heart. Lord appear is to vanquish fear. And it is mentioned in the Srimad Bhagavatam. It's another verse I want to share. That's from Canto 7. Sorry, Canto 2, Chapter 7, and verse number 14. That also one of the prayers that we recite every day. Traipeshtapor bhayaha narsimha rupam Kritva Brahmadbhukti Damshtakrala Vaktaram Daitendra Gadaya Bhipatantamara Urau Nipataya Vididara Lakhe Sapuntam Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Translation. The personality of Godhead assumed the incarnation of Narsimhadeva in order to vanquish the great fears of the demigods. He killed the king of the demons, Hiranyakashipu, who challenged the Lord with a club in his hand. By placing the demon on his thighs and piercing him with his nails, rolling his eyebrows in danger, and showing his fearful teeth and mouth. Yeah. So Lord Narsimhadev appeared to vanquish the fear and kill Hiranyakashipu. In form of holy name, Lord vanquished fear from the heart by killing the demon of material desires. So actually, this is the matter of faith. 100% faith on Krishna without any material desire. Because bhakti definition given by Srila Rupa Goswami is Anya Bhilashita Sunyam Jnana Karmadi Anavratam Anukullena Krishnanu Silanam Bhaktir Uttama. One should render transcendental loving service to the Supreme Lord Krishna favorably and without desire for material profit or gain through fruitive activities or philosophical speculation. That is called pure devotion service. So this pure bhakti, when there is no jnana and karma, this unalloyed devotional service is needed to become fearless. Srila Prabhupada's name is also Abhay Charan, fearless. Srila Prabhupada were fearless as he were a pure devotee and always bold in preaching Krishna consciousness. When we attach to our designations or position and only serve our own senses, fear and anxiety is always there because we always fearful that losing our position or losing our comfort. Because in this sense, we are Hiranyakashipus. You know, Hiranya means gold and Kashipu is soft bed. So we are, if we are sitting in our comfort zone and not preaching actively, then this fear will come. So Srila Prabhupada set this example in the old age. Srila Prabhupada traveled around the world and established Krishna conscious movement in every corner of the world without any fear. So to understand this fearlessness, reference is from this is Srila Prabhupada's purport actually from Srimad Bhāgavatam. Again, it's Canto 3, Chapter 17, verse 1. I'll just read a para that the quality of fear exists for every living entity in the material world. The four principal activities of material existence are eating, sleeping, fearing, and mating. The fear element exists also in the demigods. The difference between the demigods and ordinary human beings is that demigod approach authority, whereas the inhabitants of this earth defy authority. If people would approach the authority, then every adverse condition in this universe could be rectified. Arjun was also disturbed on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, but he approached the authority Krishna and his problem was solved. The conclusive instruction of this incident is that we may be disturbed by some material condition, but if we approach the authority who can actually explain the matter, then the problem will be solved. The demigod approached Brahma for the meaning of disturbance, and after hearing from him, they were satisfied and returned home peacefully. So we can understand here that we should always approach authority. This is the quality of a devotee. He is 100% dependent on Krishna in any situation, good or bad, happiness or misery. Hiranyakashipu also knew the philosophy of human life and spirit soul. It's not like that he didn't know. Means, demons also, as we heard different references from His Grace Amrish Prabhu, the demons also gives big philosophies. They have this knowledge, but they fail to apply it because this Srimad Bhagavatam in Canto 7, Chapter 2, verse 21, Hiranyakashipu said to his mother Diti that my dear mother, in a restaurant or place for drinking cold water, many travelers are brought together, and after drinking water, they continue their respective destination. Similarly, living entity joined together in a family, and later, as a result of their own actions, they are led apart to their destinations. So here means he's telling this philosophy to his mother to console her after his brother's death. But for himself, he's not acting upon it. This is hypocrisy and demoniac attitude. When we give big philosophies to others but fail to apply it in our lives, it is very easy to give philosophy. But when it comes to apply it, it is very hard. That's why pure devotees like Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj, they showed us by example and applying Srimad Bhagavatam in practice. Actually, this book is all based on Guru Maharaj's transcendental mellows and realizations by other devotees on Guru Maharaj is called Bhagavatam in practice. So that's needed. So in the end, I want to pray to Lord Narsimhadeva to appear in our heart and drive away our ignorance, like Prahlad Maharaj prayed to Narsimhadev. So Jai Lord Narsimhadev ki Jai, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai, Srila Gurudev ki Jai. So this is my realization. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Abuji. Thank you very much for a nice realization. Yes. Please, please jump in and continue with the realizations. Very nice. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Happy Narsimha appearance day, Chaturdasi, and also Maharaj accepting sannyas today. And thank you to Sanju Prabhu, and thank you to Amrish Prabhu and his family for holding the flag and keeping us engaged. Prabhu, this was very transcendental, Amrish Prabhu, what we did today. It was a new experience. And then I have some class also, so I have to run around and make things happen. But yes, whole day we were busy. So that's good. And that's the purpose. So it was very busy day. Sundays normally people take rest, but we are busy. So as for this Narsimha appearance day, it always reminds me that how ancient our scriptures are. Means this celebration of Holi, this pastime of Narsimha appearing. Means in India it is actually ingrained. Means we grow up like this. But I started understanding this philosophy only after coming in contact with Srila Prabhupada. Otherwise, I knew a lot of stories, but never understood what is the purpose of the story. So today's realization I have actually picked up from chapter 9. Sorry, Canto 7, chapter 9, verse number 43 and 44. 44, I have heard Maharaj giving a class, and I think Amishu has said once. So in this prayer, after Lord Narsimha appears, there's the past times and those two instructions which I have picked up, which I would like to share as my reaction today, and hopefully it makes sense. So in this chapter, Prahlad pacifies Lord Narsimha with prayers. So there is how it happens. So Prahlad Maharaj, following the order of Lord Brahma, pacified the Lord when the Lord was extremely angry after having killed Hiranyakashipu, as just Sanjeev Prabhu was explaining. After Hiranyakashipu was killed, the Lord continued to be very angry, and demigods headed by Lord Brahma could not pacify him. Even Mother Lakshmi, the goddess of fortune, the constant companion of Narayan, could not dare come before Lord Narsimha. Then Lord Brahma asked Prahlad Maharaj to go forward and pacify Lord's anger. Prahlad Maharaj, being confident of the affection of his master, Lord Narsimha, was not afraid at all. And this is exactly what Sanjeev Prabhu was explaining, that why a devotee is not afraid and why a non-devotee is afraid. He very gravely appeared before the Lord's lotus feet and offered him respectful obeisances. Lord Narsimha, Deva, being very much affectionate towards Prahlad Maharaj, put his hand on Prahlad's head. And because of being personally touched by the Lord, Prahlad Maharaj immediately achieved Brahma Gyan, that is spiritual knowledge. And that is why I picked up this, because somebody who has got Brahma Gyan, who is giving instructions in verse number 43 and 44, which are so close to Hare Krishna weekend. That's where we revolve. That's my understanding. It's much more than this. Thus, he offered his prayer to the Lord in full spiritual knowledge and full devotional ecstasy. The instruction given by Prahlad Maharaj in the form of his prayers, actually there are 44 verses, 45 verses. Prahlad said, I am not proud of being able to offer prayers to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. I simply take shelter of the mercy of the Lord, for without devotion, one cannot appease him. One cannot please the Supreme Personality of Godhead simply by dint of high parentage or great opulence, learning, austerity, penance, or mystic power. So again, Prabhupada is actually not telling in his purports that who actually deserves it, how it all happens, what is the process, and who cannot do it. And he's not mincing his words. Lord Narsimhadeva appeared for the benefit of all human society, not only for the Prahlad's personal benefit. The fierce form of Lord Narsimha, there was Lord Narsimha may appear most awful for a non-devotee, to a non-devotee. But to a devotee, the Lord is always affectionate as he is in other forms. This is verse 43, which talks about it. And this is Brahma Gyan. This is not I say, Amrisho says, or Sanjeev Prabhu says, or somebody says. This is spiritual knowledge coming directly from a scripture, and Prahlad Maharaj talking after Narsimhadeva actually blessing him. Further, a little bit of philosophy. Conditioned life in the material world is actually extremely fearful. Indeed, a devotee is not afraid of anything else. Fear of material existence is due to false ego. And false ego is the most difficult thing to understand. In Hindi, we call it ahankar. Therefore, the ultimate goal of life for every living entity is to attain position of being servant of the Lord. The miserable condition of the living entity in the material world can be remedied only by the mercy of Lord. Although there are so-called material protectors like Lord Brahma and other demigods, or even one's own father, they are unable to do anything if one is neglected by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. How helpless we are. However, one who has fully taken shelter of Lord's lotus feet can be saved from the onslaught of material nature. Therefore, every living entity should be unattracted by material so-called happiness and should take shelter of the Lord by all means. That is the mission of human life. Whether one is a devotee of the Lord or is a non-devotee does not depend upon one's birth in high or low family. That was before I was talking about. Even Lord Brahma and the goddess of fortune cannot achieve the full favor of the Lord, whereas a devotee can very easily attend such devotional service. The pastime is like this, that even Lord Brahma and Lakshmi Devi were not able to go and pacify Narsimhadeva. This is what his Prahlad Maharaj could do. So that is the position of a devotee. The Lord mercy is bestowed equally upon everyone, regardless of whether one is high or low. Because Prahlad Maharaj was blessed by Narad Muni, Prahlad became a great devotee. The Lord always saved the devotee from impersonalists and voyeurists. The Lord is present in everyone's heart as the super soul to give the living being protection and all benefits. Thus the Lord acts sometimes as the killer and sometimes as the protector. One should not accuse the Lord for any discrepancies, which as a person who doesn't understand, they always do this. It is His plan that we see varieties of the life within the material world. All of them are ultimately His mercy. And a non-devotee cannot understand this. So, Prahlad Maharaj thus offered his prayer to the Supreme Lord, begging His mercy at every step. Lord Narsimhadeva was pacified by Prahlad Maharaj's prayers and wanted to give him benedictions by which Prahlad could procure all kinds of material facilities. Prahlad Maharaj, however, was not misled by material facilities. Rather, he wanted to remain always a servant of the Lord. So now the verse number 43 and 44, which I wanted to discuss today. Naibo dvije paraduratya vaitaranyas Tvatvirya gayana mahamrita magna chittaha Sochetato vimukha chetasa indriyartha Maya sukhaya bharam udvahato vimudhan. Jai. Translation par Patvoda Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Translation. O best of the great personalities, I am not at all afraid of material existence. For wherever I stay, I am fully absorbed in thoughts of your glories and activities. My concern is only for the fools and rascals who are making elaborate plans for material happiness and maintaining their families, societies, and countries. I am simply concerned with love for them. That is Prahlad Maharaj's prayer to Lord Narsimha, a pure devotee. And I'll not go through entire purport, just a few points. So in this verse or in the translation, Prahlad Maharaj is, in spite of all those things happening with him, his own father is trying to kill him. He is saying, my concern is only for the fools and rascals who are making elaborate plans for the material happiness and maintaining their families, societies, and countries. I am simply concerned with love for them. And that is what and how a pure devotee thinks. And that is so hard to think like this. Actually, it is impossible. So in the purport, Prabhupada writes that he's giving examples that why we are suffering and why we should do this. So here Prabhupada writes about the river Vaitarini, which there is a river known as Vaitarini between the material and spiritual worlds, and one must cross this river to reach the other side or the spiritual world. I'll just quickly go through the translation just to put in the context. My dear Lord, you are always transcendently situated on the other side of the river of death, but because of the reaction of our own activities, we are suffering on this side. Indeed, we have fallen into this river and are repeatedly suffering the pains of birth and death and eating horrible things. Now kindly look upon us, not only upon me, but also upon all others who are suffering, and by your causeless mercy and compassion, deliver us and maintain us. So that is actually verse number 41, where actually Prahlad Maharaj is saying that what is happening to us and how we are suffering, and giving an example also. So those who are in Krishna consciousness trying to serve the Lord are not unhappy, whereas one who has no assets in Krishna consciousness and is struggling for existence is not only foolish but extremely unhappy also. So Prahlad Maharaj was happy and unhappy simultaneously. He felt happiness and transcendental bliss because of his being Krishna consciousness, yet he felt great unhappiness for the fools and rascals who make elaborate plans to be happy in this material world. And I think we all who are practicing to be a teacher and a preacher, they all realize this, that how sometimes we feel happy, sometimes we feel surprised actually at how actually we can do this, how we can actually guide this spirit soul so that they can advance. That is Prahlad Maharaj telling us and Prabhupada elaborating in the purport. The next verse is 44, where another instruction which is coming from Prahlad Maharaj, which is part of Brahma Gyan through our Bhagavatam. Prayena deva munaya savimukti kama maunam charanti vijanena parathanistha naitan vihaya kripanan vimuksha eko nanyam tvad asya sharanam brahmato anupasye. Translation. My dear Lord Narsimhadeva, I see that there are many saintly persons indeed, but they are interested only in their own deliverance, not caring for the big cities and towns. They go to the Himalayas or the forest to meditate with vows of silence, that is Mauna Vrata. They are not interested in delivering others. As for me, however, I do not wish to be liberated alone. Leaving aside all these poor fools and rascals, I know that without Krishna consciousness, without taking shelter of your lotus feet, one cannot be happy. Therefore, I wish to bring them back to shelter at your lotus feet. So as I have shared my realization before also, this is how a preacher thinks, the follower of Srila Prabhupada, the follower of Prahlad Maharaj, and why they actually preach. That is where Bhagavatam is talking about this. And even in a pure devotee, they don't want to go back to Godhead. They just actually, they are followers of Prahlad Maharaj, and that's what they want to do, and that's how they want to associate with Krishna. So in the purport, Prabhupada writes, which it's a big purport, but I'll quickly share what I actually have highlighted and which I wanted to share. This is the decision of the Vaishnava, the pure devotee Lord. For himself, he has no problem. Even if he has to stay in this material world, because his only business is to remain in Krishna consciousness. The Krishna conscious person can go even to hell and still be happy. This is very important. We are not happy in material world because we are not Krishna consciousness. Therefore, Prahlad Maharaj said, Navo dviche para duratya vaitarya munyaham vaitaranyaham. Oh, best of great personalities, I am not at all afraid of material world, material existence. The pure devotee is never unhappy in any condition of life. This is confirmed in Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 6, Chapter 17, verse number 28, but probably I will skip this. I'll quickly read the translation because it's relevant. Devotees solely engage in a devotional service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Narayanan, never fear of any condition of life. For them, the heavenly planets, liberation, and the hellish planets are all the same. For such devotees are interested only in the service of the Lord. So that is what keeps us going. And that is what I picked up from today's celebration of Narsimha Chaturdasi. I said, what actually will make my faith stronger? What will actually keep me going? And because we all need this kind of association, this kind of discussion, and this kind of pastimes of great personalities so that we can relate and so that we can keep doing what we do in whatever way we can. So that's my relation, Prabhu. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Very nice. Thank you very much, Prabhuji. Very nice realization there. 1 second. Right. So I remember this particular verse where Prahlad Maharaj are requesting, where he had, Lord Narsimhadeva asked, what do you want? He said, I want nothing for myself. There's fools and rascals in the cities, in towns, in big cities. They're wasting their time. So we think that big cities are existing only now. They used to exist even at that time. So many millions, Satyuga. This was. And Guru Maharaj, I remember distinctly, Maharaj were at pains to inform us, a few devotees in the class, that don't leave the cities and go to Vrindavan. Some devotees had gone to Vrindavan and all that, living all this pitching in Rajkot, and as it is, there are very few people anyway, devotees anyways. So Maharaj said, don't do this. Don't do this. Listen to what Prahlad Maharaj is saying this here, that should remain here and preach. So that is the mood that we have in the Hare Krishna weekend. We would rather be where there's crowd, and somehow or other, if we have, to the extent that we are purified, we can reveal the message of Srila Prabhupada. That's what the mood of Mahavishnu was. So very nice, very nice. Now, before we go any further, I would like to show one video. I'm trying to find out, okay? I'll try my best for this, okay? So bear with me. Yes, this is new to me. Right. So tell me, everybody can see, you must speak to me. Let me know, okay? You can see me now, all of you? Now watch this video, okay? Attentively. This video is about the Lord Narsimhadeva in Mayapur, and also about His Grace Panchajangri Prabhu, who very unfortunately he left us, to go back to Godhead. He is a twin brother of Jananivas Prabhu. You will see them in the video also. And they both twin brothers. Once they stepped foot from USA, I think from UK, excuse me, into Mayapur, they never went back. For all these years, they were in Mayapur only. And unfortunately, because of COVID, His Grace Panchajangri Prabhu passed away, left us, but went back to Godhead. And whole worldwide devotees are heartbroken. And so this particular video is made by a devotee whom we know. He's my friend, and we had also given a class amongst us. So I hope you enjoy this video. It's about Mayapur temple and about Lord Narsimhadeva in Mayapur temple and about Panchajangri Prabhu. Okay, Hare Krishna.
Nothing playing, Prabhu.
Voice. Just 1 second, please. Can't see the video. Okay. Okay. Okay, I'll try it again. 1 second, please. So you people couldn't hear?
Yeah, we could hear, but no video.
No video.
No video again. Oh, no. Hold on.
Maybe try turn your video off and then see if it works.
If I stop my video.
Yeah, and then try and share screen.
Again, you couldn't see anything, huh?
Couldn't see the video, Prabhuji. No.
Oh, man.
Prabhuji,
Lord.
perhaps somebody else on the computer screen can share their screen.
Sorry?
Somebody else on this, like who's on their computer, can share their screen, perhaps.
Hold on. Hold on. It shouldn't be this difficult. How ridiculous is that? Can you see anything now?
So we
Yep,
can
it's
see.
come now. Hold on. Yeah, okay, now hold on. Huh? I'm doing something. I'm playing music from other phone. Doing together. Again, it stopped, right?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, are you making it full screen? Because it might be if you're sharing just the application, when it goes full screen, it doesn't share. So you might have to either share your whole, like, mobile.
Everything is there. I'm sharing here. Now see what's happening now. Can you see something now? Right.
Yeah.
It has come now. Now let us play this, okay? Let's see what happens. No, it's not happening.
Do you want me to share the screen?
Yeah, anything happening now? No. Again, nothing. Oh, it's a shame. This is so wrong, man. So much for technology. Right. Because for screen screen, I have to put an URL. I can't go anywhere else. I have to put a URL. Website URL. Okay, 1 second. Okay, hold on now. Is this okay? People can see something here?
Yeah.
Okay, hold on now. Let me check this. We'll do it a different way. This is so pain. I can't believe it.
I think that it couldn't find the file.
Okay, let's try this again now. It goes blank.
Prabhuji, like, do you see that open app box over there? Open app,
Yeah.
it says. Maybe try clicking
Open.
it and then open app. Maybe that means that it will open the application of YouTube. Like the same video will be
This
open.
video is playing in.
PIP.
No, there is no open app.
Yeah,
Open
up
app.
there on the top. There is open app.
On the top, there's a white box,
Yeah,
white
here.
border box.
Yeah, that one. So it will open the application on your phone.
Yeah, and then maybe try sharing that application.
I'm sorry. Well, I'll do it again. So which one talking about here? The left.
Open app,
Open app.
on the top right. Open app.
You
On
press
the
the
top
open app.
right.
That
Yeah,
button.
open. Let's go.
Yeah, does it open the application of YouTube?
Yeah, let's see what happens. Open app.
Yes, it opened it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, something happening. Yeah, no, something happening.
Yeah.
Yes.
Play
You
this
guys are
video
still
now.
saying
Maybe
blank.
this will
Okay.
play.
All right.
Now we are seeing it, Prabhuji.
Okay, now let's see. I'll click now.
Oh, you are signed up with YouTube.
No, that shouldn't be a problem.
No, it's not happening. No, it's not happening. You can't see it. Because I'm full screen. I'm full screen. Oh, well,
You can try making co-host to Shital Prabhu. Prabhuji, and maybe
yeah, let's see.
you can share.
Are you on a computer, Prabhuji?
Yes, I already have a video on. I can share the screen. Probably, I'm not sure if the sound will work. Screen should work.
You got a
Prabhuji,
screen
you
share?
can share the computer sound and the audio will also come
Okay.
through. Yeah.
All right then.
We'll make you co-host. Let's see what happens. Okay. All right. Now you try it, Prabhuji.
Yeah, we can
Can
see
you see?
the video now. Prabhuji, just share the computer sound as well. There
Yeah.
will be an option in the floating meeting controls.
To share video, it should not be too difficult. It should come.
Not from here,
Audio
Prabhuji.
should come.
On your screen at the top, there would be some controls for Zoom. Share screen. Can you see that?
Yeah.
Yeah. In the view options, click. There would be a drop down. Drop down menu.
Whenever I used to share from my computer, it was very simple. I go to YouTube, look it, and then just from here I share it. The channel is done. You know?
Which is the option? I can't see the option. New
You
share.
can stop sharing and share again. Then you can see the option to share computer sound.
Okay. Stop
You
share.
can stop it and share again.
Yeah.
While sharing, there must be an option to share computer sound.
Doesn't say anything that may actually.
Stop sharing and then share, and you can see while sharing, there must be an option to share computer sound. If you can stop this and share again, and you can see that option.
Mataji, I don't think the options will come like that. Like there's like a floating meeting
Let me
controls.
check. Actually, I increased my system sound and
Yeah.
actually.
Just use the main YouTube sound only there.
Yeah.
Do one thing, Bori. 1 second. You start the video at the same time with me. I'll start a sound from here.
Okay.
Go back now.
Yes.
So start to go back now.
Yep.
Okay. Come to the main screen there. Now start play. 1, 2, 3. Play.
Yep. Can you see it?
Yep.
We can see, but no sound, Prabhu.
No problem.
It
It's
will
not
come.
yet started now. It'll come.
It will start now.
I can share also if you like.
Yeah, I can hear the sound. Can you hear it?
Okay, thank you. Very well. Hope the audio was all right for people to see. I can't see you people. So if you move your head, I won't be able to know.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes,
All
Prabhu.
good.
Yes.
Sorry.
You should know this. All right. Okay. So this particular deity, as you see, it is Ugra Nrsimha, Prahlad Nrsimha. And to worship these deity and Ugra Nrsimha deities, Prahlad Nrsimha deities, you require men, brahmacharis, who have not had any sex. Means those who are married can't do it. So these are Naistic brahmacharis. You see, and it you will think of what happens. Well, a lot of big reaction happens if you touch it, you know. And there are also Nrsimha deities which you find. There's one particular devotee who searches out Nrsimha deities around India, different places, and they would even burn. It was so powerful that the brahmacharis even then could not tolerate worshipping the deities. They're very, very lofty and very high standards. So, in fact, this particular deity is they said when they were bringing these deities, those who carved out, they said this was worshipped by, this kind of deities is worshipped by demigods in high planets. So you'll be very, very careful when you bring these deities. But what happened was that dacoits would, they had come and attacked my whole temple. So to protect, they got these deities, this particular deity, Lord Narsimhadeva. Okay, Hare Krishna. Please, let's continue with the discussion. We lost some time in this conversation, please. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees.
So, Prabhu, where are you?
Krishna.
Haribol. Yeah, continue.
Hare Krishna. Yeah, thank you, Amrish Prabhu, for giving us an opportunity to give our realization. And this is unique experience for me, something different. Thank you for engaging us, engaging me. And thank you, Avinash Prabhu and Sanjay Prabhu, for your nice realization. So I got my realization from Srila Prabhupada's couple of lectures. So I guessed some points and I'm just going to repeat those points. These are all Srila Prabhupada's words. So Srila Prabhupada says that this is very instructive struggle between atheist and the theist. This story of Prahlad Maharaj is eternally true. There is always struggle between atheist and theist. If a person becomes God conscious, Krishna conscious, so he will find many enemies, because this world is full of demons. What to speak about the devotees of Krishna? Even Krishna, when he came, he had to kill so many demons. So nobody, Srila Prabhupada says, nobody can kill God. The demons, godless society, they simply want to kill God. But actually, God is never killed. But the demons is killed by God. That is the law of nature. So this is the instruction from Prahlad Maharaj's life, that we can understand that is stated even in the Bhagavad Gita. It is stated that I am also death in the shape of taking away everything. Whatever you possess, we are very much proud of possessing material things, material acquisition. But when Krishna comes, just like Prahlad Maharaj saw Hiranyakashipu, his father also saw Narsimhadeva. So this Hiranyakashipu was very clever, because he was full of materialistic, and he wanted to live forever and enjoy the sense of gratification and the material things. So he was a typical materialistic. The Hiranya means gold, and Kashyapa means a soft bed, cushion. So the materialistic person, they are very much fond of gold and enjoying the life. So Hiranyakashipu is the typical example of the materialistic person. Prahlad Maharaj means a transcendental bliss. But on account of material association, we are in the miserable condition of life. So this Hiranyakashipu wanted to become immortal, and he underwent penance, severe penances, so much so the whole universe became tremble. So that Brahma, Lord Brahma, had to come down and to specify him. And Lord Brahma asked him, what do you want? So he wanted to become immortal. Brahma said, even I am not, even I had to die after certain years, maybe million, trillion years, but I have to die, so I can't give this benediction. So Brahma, even Brahma lives millions, trillions of years, still he has to die. Even Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, the real problem is Janma Mrityu Jara Vyadhi, birth, death, old age, and the disease. But Hiranyakashipu, he wanted to solve these in a materialistic way. But that is not possible. So in a negative way, he wanted that I shall not die on the land, I shall not die in the air, I shall not die in the matter, I shall not be killed by any man, any man-made weapon. And so many ways, negatively, he thought on that he has immortal. But Krishna is so intelligent that keeping all the words or the blessings given by Lord Brahma to Hiranyakashipu, he killed him just like Hiranyakashipu wanted that. He would not be killed either at the day or in night. So Hiranyakashipu was killed neither at day nor night, but just in the beginning of the evening, that is the dusk time, which is neither day or night. Then he wanted that he shall not be killed in the air, in the water, or in the land. So Hiranyakashipu was killed on the lap of the Lord. He wanted not to be killed by man-made weapon, and so Lord killed him with his nails. Yes, we always pray this, Tavakara Kamalavare Nakham Adbhuta Shungam Dalita Hiranyakashipu Tanubhrungam Keshavadhuta Narahari Rupa Jai Jagadish Hare. So we cannot cheat God. That is not possible. However, scientifically, you may be advanced. Srila Prabhupada says, we are trying to advance in scientifically in materialistic way. But God is always very intelligent, more intelligent than the ourselves. So that is the difference between the demon and the devotee. Devotee knows the God is great. I am this eternal servant. So he remains a humble servant of Krishna. Therefore, he has no danger. Sanjay Prabhu has already mentioned that devotee is always in no danger, provided he is in the ocean of the Lord. Even if he has a danger, he will be saved by Krishna. And Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Kaunteya pratijani hina mi bhaktaha pranashyanti. Kaunteya pratijani hi. Arjun, you can declare it all over the world that anyone who has taken shelter at my lotus feet become devotee. He will never be vanquisher. Even in Bhagavad Gita chapter 18 verse 66, Aham tam saram papebhyo mokshayishami masuch. So there are assurances, but the atheist class of men like Hiranyakashipu cannot understand this. That is the defect. So they always challenge God. The decision between the father and the son was that the son was believer in the God Krishna and the father was not. So at the end, the father, so what is the God in the form of death? That is Hiranyakashipu. And the atheist always challenges, where is God? Can you show me the God? There, Srila Prabhupada says that Prahlad Maharaj is one of our gurus. Like there are 12 gurus in Mahajan. So if we want to make progress in spiritual life, we have to follow the Mahajans, the great personalities. The Prahlad Maharaj is our guru in our disciplic succession, Srila Prabhupada says. So Prahlad Maharaj was not into so many troubles. He was put into so many troubles by his father, but he never forgot chanting Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. He never forget. So we should take the lesson from this story that even in dangerous position, we should not be forgetful of Krishna. Krishna will save us. It is said in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 6, verse 20. I'll read the translation. In the stage of perfection called trance or samadhi, one's mind is completely restrained from the material mental activities by practice of yoga. This perfection is characterized by one's ability to see the self by pure mind and to release the rejoice in the self. In that joyous state, one is situated in the boundless transcendental happiness realized through transcendental senses. Established thus, one never departs from the truth. Upon gaining this, he thinks there is no greater gain. Being situated in such position, one is never shaken, ever in the midst greatest difficulty. This indeed is actual freedom from all miseries arising from material contact. So Krishna consciousness is nice, that if we get Krishna consciousness and any other benefit or gain, never consider. We are hankering after getting these, that, so many things, material things. As soon as we get Krishna consciousness, we will be satisfied. Just like Prahlad Maharaj, he was offered all benediction by Lord Narsimha. My dear Prahlad, whatever you like, you can ask. But he never asked anything. But he was so kind that this is the example of Vaishnava's son in the family. Despite so much trouble given by his father, still he begged for Narsimhadeva that, Lord, may my father be committed. My father has committed so many offenses. Kindly give him liberation. Then Lord says, liberation. He did not ask anything for himself. Then Lord Narsimha immediately said that, why do you speak about your father? Your father's father, his father, all the 21 generations, all will be liberated, because a son like you in this family, and this is the benefit. If a son become a pure Krishna devotee, he can deliver 21 generations. So if we can become devotee, we can give best service to the nation, to our family, to the humanity, and that is our Krishna consciousness movement. If we take Krishna consciousness, your life will be perfect. Even Srila Prabhupada mentioned about the mantras. What mantra we are chanting every day, that is free, but there are a lot of so-called godly persons or gurus. They take money for the mantra. Even I have been in this situation a couple of times, long back, maybe 90s, 2000. I had to pay money and get the mantra, but it it didn't affect at all on me. But this mantra, which is free, the Srila Prabhupada says everyone should take the benefit of this, because there is no secrecy in this mantra. So mantra, and even in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adilila, chapter 17, verse 21, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Hare Nameva Kevalam, Kalau Nasi, Eva Nasti Eva, Nasti Eva, Gatir Anyatha. So in this age of Kali, therefore, in the Shastra, it has been openly declared the importance of the Mahamantra. So there are many other things in meditation, sacrifice, worshipping in the temple. So in this age, all these things are impossible to be performed. But even a child can chant Hare Krishna mantra. So this is the method of God's realization, and there is no expenditure, but the gain is very great. That was the teaching of Sri Prahlad Maharaj, and we are following his footsteps. Hare Krishna, this is my realization from this today's.
Thank you very much, Sopan Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Very nice realization.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Very nice. Hare Krishna. Who would like to continue now? Haribol.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. First of all, wish you all very happy Transcendental Appearance Day of Lord Narsimhadeva and the sannyas acceptance of. I think this Narsimha Chaturdashi, I felt very special one, because I think this was the first time I got to do everything, right from puja, cooking, offering, and everything. So I was very busy, which was good. And yesterday also I was meditating because I wanted to actually give a class on the same subject matter. And it was, I think I studied the same subject matter, and I studied the same things today, but from a different angle. And there's a lot of actually things that actually I realized. I studied these things previously as well, but realization was different. So I was meditating on this point, and as thank you Sopan Prabhuji, Sanjay Prabhu, and Avinash Prabhu for sharing your nice realization. I think you covered most of the points, and it's very different actually realization. It's good to hear. And as Sopan Prabhu already mentioned, I was also listening to Srila Prabhupada. And as Srila Prabhupada says, that it's always been a struggle between theist and atheist, and which is eternally true, even nowadays. That is very much quite truth in our today's society. But Srila Prabhupada made one very important point, that he said that, yes, there is a struggle, but the point is they never agree, theist and atheist. There has never been agreement. And secondly, theists never submit to the atheist in any condition. So this is very, very powerful instruction, that as a devotee, we never submit to the atheist. And that is very nicely shown by Prahlad Maharaj, is very dear devotee of Lord Narsimhadeva. Actually, he is the only one, who caused Lord Vishnu to appear or take this incarnation, and which is actually very, very important to all the devotees. So actually, I was meditating on the life of Prahlad Maharaj, and there is so much to learn, and actually, as Amrish Prabhu stated, he is very powerful preacher, Prahlad Maharaj, that actually he chose to preach in the, the lower planetary system, in the Narak planets and all that, we try to actually preach here, we try to preach to devotees, and still things doesn't work out, and actually preaching to the demons is not easy task. But actually he, as Srimad Bhāgavatam, in the second canto, it is very nicely described, how Prahlad Maharaj preached. So actually I will come to that point. But initially, actually, as Sanjay Prabhu, I think, Vinash Prabhu pointed out, that Hiranyakashipu, so even he is actually the best among demons, as Prahlad Maharaj used to call him, the Asuri warrior. And he is not ordinary being. Actually, he managed to become a king of the three worlds. And he was actually also had a lot of Vedic knowledge. In fact, as stated in Bhagavatam in that canto, that actually he instructed his family members when Lord Vishnu, as when he appeared as a Varaha, Varaha avatar, and he killed the Hiranyaksh, to pacify the family members, actually, he presented the same knowledge that what we learn about the spirit soul, transmigration of body and all that. And I was thinking, this person actually has all the Vedic knowledge that we are learning. And how come he become, actually anti-Vishnu, So the thing, actually, the point that I think we, because of the we are under Maya all the time, and it's very easy to get influenced, So Hiranyakashipu, actually, he misunderstood. He thought that Lord Vishnu become partial, He sided with the actually Devatas, and actually he killed his brother. And that's what actually drove him crazy, and he wanted to actually kill Lord Vishnu to avenge the death of his brother. So it was a very interesting point. So that comes to, the point that even if you have all the Vedic knowledge, to understand the real religious principle is not very easy, as Srila Prabhupada very nicely point out in his purport. And for that purpose, there is only one hope, that actually we have to follow in the footsteps of our previous acharyas and Mahajans. As Sopan Prabhu also pointed out that point, actually, Srila Prabhupada took the reference to Srimad Bhagavatam verse specified in Canto 6, Chapter 3, verse 20. So actually, I just referred to that because it came into the discussion. Swayambhur Narada Shambhu Kumaraha Kapilo Muni Pralado Janako Bhishmo Balir Vyavasakirvayam Vadai Shate Vijanimo Dharman Bhagavatam Patah Guhyam Vishuddham Durbodham Yam Natva Amritam Ashnute. Translation by Srila Prabhupada ji, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So Lord Brahma, Bhagwan Narad, Lord Shiva, the four Kumaras, Lord Kapil, the son of Devahuti, Swayambhu Manu, Prahlad Maharaj, Janak Maharaj, grandfather Bhishma, Bali Maharaj, Sukdev Goswami, and I, myself, know the real religious principle. My dear servants, this transcendental religious principle, which is known as a Bhagavad Dharma, or surrender unto the Supreme Lord and love for Him, is uncontaminated by the material modes of nature. It is very confidential and difficult for ordinary human beings to understand. But if by chance one fortunately understands it, he is immediately liberated, and thus he returns home back to Godhead. So Prahlad Maharaj was one of the Mahajans, who's actually one of the 12 Mahajans. So he's very, very important personality. Even he appeared as a very young 5-year-old boy, but because of his actually determination and his love for Lord Vishnu, actually he became a Mahajan. As Avinash Prabhu stated, he actually acquired the Brahma Jnana. So they understood this religious principle, and that's what actually we, Srila Prabhupada says, that we need to follow in their footsteps. So what I realized that because our parampara system, so we are also following in the footsteps of our Shiksha Guru, who's following Srila Prabhupada, Srila Gurudev, Srila Prabhupada, and all the way back to the Lord Brahma. So this parampara is very important. Without this parampara, even we study Vedas on our own, we cannot able to understand the real religious principle, and there's always chance of being misguided, just like this Hiranyakashipu, who thought is actually Lord Vishnu is being partial. But there is actually first chapter which described how Lord Vishnu is actually impartial towards all the living entities. But there is always a very special connection, as we learned, in our classes, between the actually pure devotee and the Lord. Srila Prabhupada says, actually, he mentioned this. He took the reference of actually one of the verse from Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela, chapter 17, verse 186. I will just read the translation for the time limitation. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu continued, dry arguments are inconclusive. A great personality whose opinion does not differ from others is not considered a great sage. Simply by studying Vedas, which are variegated, one cannot come to the right path by which religious principles are understood. The solid truth of religious principle is hidden in the heart of an unadulterated, self-realized person. Consequently, as Shastras confirm, one should accept whatever progressive path the Mahajanas advocate. So Srila Prabhupada actually took reference of this, and he insisted that we must follow in the footsteps of Mahajans, who can actually rightly guide us on this path of devotion. So this is very, very important, because by just studying Bhagavad Gita on our own, because sometimes we get little bit knowledge and we think we can study on our own and we can become, guru. But that is not very easy, unless there is actually the causeless mercy of Lord that actually only pure devotee can achieve, and they can understand and impart this knowledge. And we are very fortunate that actually we come in contact with this program, His Grace Ambrish Prabhu, who actually give as it is. And that is why actually, we feel very much actually protected and sheltered all the time. And we very much, the mood of our program is to actually focus on the devotional service. And there is a big drive for actually, the preaching, which is very, very important in this age of Kali. And that one thing is very close to the heart of Lord Krishna as well. The devotees who take all the risk to preach, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita that they are very, very dear to him. So this is actually secret, to actually achieve the mercy of the Lord, by actually following in the footsteps of his pure devotees. So I was meditating on that point, and then what to be learned, from Prahlad Maharaj, his life, Actually, he was born in a demonic family, actually in the Asuras. And where after his birth, the way actually after he born, he was a devotee, by birth, because he was already actually heard the Bhagavad Dharma when he was in the womb of his mother, Kayadu. And just like, Sri Narad Muni actually, instructed him. So that was very interesting point as well. And because he was already liberated, he had a very firm faith. As Srila Prabhupada says that once you become a devotee of a Lord, you get many enemies automatically, because we are living in this material world where we are surrounded by very tiny Hiranyakashipus. So we are also Hiranyakashipus. The Hiranyakashipu he was Asurivar, he is the best among the demons. But we are very small and fallen among the demons. So still, we have the tendency of actually, even now, even we chant and all that, but actually our propensity to enjoy, is very hard to get rid of, this material thing. And as it says, Maya is very powerful and it's very, very true. We actually, as soon as we go out of the association of devotees, even if we take a break for a couple of weeks, you very much influenced by this material world again. You think this is real, and that is actually the risk. So the devotees association is very, very critical. And actually, Sukadeva Goswami actually he explained very nicely where he focused on the point how his father Hiranyakashipu tried to kill Prahlad Maharaj at his very young age. The various methods he employed. Means we say actually, he tried to kill him and Prahlad Maharaj is very much determined. But actually, if you read through that, actually the verses in Srimad Bhāgavatam, that actually, and if you think of it, is very, very cruel. If these things happen to us, we cannot even stand. Your own father tried to kill you. Actually, he employed his servants, who actually tried to poke him. Just a 5-year-old boy with the trishul. They try to actually throw him from the top of the cliff. They try to actually trample him under the feet of elephants. They try to poison him. They throw him in a pit of actually very poisonous serpents. And even they were actually still not successful to kill him. And actually Hiranyakashipu actually find out new ways of killing him. So just meditating on this point, I was thinking that actually Prahlad Maharaj, he was actually a real devotee of the Lord. He was very determined and was very much focused on Lord Vishnu. As Srila Prabhupada says, he never forgot actually chanting Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. He was always focused. And interesting point, he never complained Even his father was trying to kill him. Actually, even now, in actually the present, the way we live, is actually we're fortunately our parents are very loving. They don't try to kill us. But even if we get simple problems in our life, materialistic problem, which is nothing in the eyes of a pure devotees, because they do not desire those things. As Sanjay Prabhu recited that verse, actually how Lord Narsimhadeva help us become fearless by actually driving these materialistic propensities out of our mind. But we get very much disturbed, and if any family problem arises, is actually our chanting, we can't focus in chanting and very much stress and all that. So that proves that actually we are very much under the control of this Maya, and we still have actually very much attached to these material things, which is the source of actually all the fearfulness that we experience, I experience. And actually just try to learn from Prahlad Maharaj, under this adverse situation where his family tried to kill him. Actually, he never gave up his devotion. He not in a slightest disturbance in his meditation, and that's why actually he got protected by Lord Vishnu himself. So we need to have that faith. We need to develop that kind of faith, because what I experienced myself is actually when we face with the difficult situations, means because we are actually learning. Every week we come here, we hear to a lot of instruction, and we try to study ourselves sometimes. That's why we try to actually continue chanting, or try to attend the program. Otherwise, if we try to do it on our own self without any association, I think I'm certainly can say I will give up these things. But only because of the association, I think that gives us impetus and inspiration, because I can see all my senior devotees, how they are behaving. They also face difficult situation, but they actually continue preaching. They continue actually, their devotional service, even they are actually going through very difficult situations. And that's what actually motivates me. And actually we try to follow what they do and try to learn from it. So there is a lot to learn from Prahlad Maharaj's actually life, his pastimes, and how to become very actually determined in your devotion towards the Lord. So that is one point actually I wanted to actually focus on. And also, secondly, actually from preaching point of view, actually I found it very interesting that when Prahlad Maharaj got the opportunity, actually when he was under that all the attacks from all the demons, and he was actually left alone for some time, when their so-called Shiksha Gurus, the Shand and Amark, they actually they got engaged in their daily things, and he grabbed that opportunity, and he actually preached to the actually children of all these asuras, and because it's very I found it very interesting, even these asuras actually, they're on day-to-day basis actually taught by their Shiksha Gurus, their own way of life, who are only focused on this dharma, artha, and karma, not on the actually dharma, artha, kama, sorry, not karma, kama, not on the moksha. And even his father instructed that actually only teach Prahlad Maharaj only three things: this dharma, artha, and kam. Don't tell him anything about moksha, otherwise he will have gone the same path of being a devotee. But Prahlad Maharaj, actually, he was very powerful preacher, he actually preached to those children, and actually he made them a devotees, that's what actually agitated the Hiranyakashipu the most. So even in the adverse situation, actually he was going through, but he was very much focused, in his devotional service and preaching. And as Amrish Prabhu just said, actually we carry the same mode. We try to actually remain in the big cities and try to preach the same message to these people who are actually unnecessarily suffering. And we're also suffering. Actually, I'm not out of that anyway. But this is the point. Actually, means actually we carry the same mode, and actually there is a lot to learn. as Ambrish Prabhu means he emphasized this point very much, that actually we have to become a lions, and we have to give up this herd mentality, of ownership mentality. And it is very difficult initially. I feel it is very difficult sometimes, because as Srila Prabhupada says that once you become a devotee, you get a lot of enemies. You have to walk alone. Just like Prahlad Maharaj, he was all alone in his family, with his family members and all those asuras. Even he was born there. So actually, this is actually lesson we can actually take, by being very much devoted, and we should not very much think about actually this materialistic world, Even people think that we are their enemies. We should not think like them, because Prahlad Maharaj, actually the children he preached, their very own parents actually tried to kill him. But he never actually saw them as enemies, It's just like that actually Yudhishthira Maharaj's example, where we call him Ajata Shatru, whose enemy is never born. So Prahlad Maharaj actually behaved in the same way, that he never considered the asuras that they are his enemies. He never actually fought back, and he never even actually run away to try to save him. And he's remained very stable, So, and he didn't even say anything, he didn't complain, and which is very interesting. And that made him Hiranyakashipu, actually, that agitated him, and he became fearful of Prahlad Maharaj. That means this boy, actually, he doesn't fight, he's not running away, and he's also completely fearless. Even he's employing various ways to kill him. And he started wondering, he can become a cause of my death, He may actually remember everything, what I did to him. And in the future, he can kill me, or maybe not, So he was actually speculating all those things. Even the actually king of the three worlds, Hiranyakashipu, he became fearful of a small boy who was a devotee. So that proves that, actually the devotee who's very much devoted, even he look very simple, but if he is actually totally renounced from these material things, he can become very powerful than the emperor of the whole world, three worlds. And Prahlad Maharaj showed that actually, Hiranyakashipu become fearful of his own son. Means it's very hard to believe, Actually, it is actually stated in Srimad Bhagavatam. I was reading that even if he moves his eyebrow, in anger, the three worlds used to actually they tremble. And the same personality actually become fearful of Prahlad Maharaj, who was just actually devotee of Lord Vishnu, but he was very pure devotee, very much devoted. So even if he didn't do anything, as Bhagavad Gita says, there is always an action in inaction, He didn't do anything, but by remaining silent, actually he communicated everything, in one way. So I think there is a lot to learn, actually having that patience, what is the dhir, and actually being focused on the devotion. I think we can actually able to progress on this path, we can never become Prahlad Maharaj. But I think at least we can learn something where he says that even a slightest actually progress on this path, one can achieve this perfection. And where actually he instructed those boys, this is very famous verse where actually we actually learned, Nahamata. Shri Prahlada Uvacha Kaumara Acharit Pradno Dharman Bhāgavatāmiha Durlabham Manusham Janma Tadapi Adruvam Arthadam. So the point he made here, that one has to actually start the devotional service from very tender age of 5-year-old. And we actually we heard this point many times, and actually initially I wondered, being at a very early age, when children do not understand anything, at least what I used to think, but as Prahlad Maharaj actually very nicely explained, that actually for any materialistic person, maximum lifetime we get is 100 years. But today we know that it is much less than that. It is 60, 70, most of the people die. And half of that is gone in sleeping, And when you're young, 10 years is gone, just discovering the world. Another 10 years gone in sporting and playing games. And when we get married and become grahast or grahamedi, we are very attached to the wife and children. And that actually life is wasted, And I feel actually, I always feel this regret as well, that actually when I look at, first time when I looked at Krishna Prabhu, a very young age, he was actually playing the mridanga and actually reciting all the verses. I used to actually amazed, looking at him. And we learned a lot actually from him and his family, Amrish Prabhu and his Grace Purni Pragya Mataji, the way they trained him. And that gave me confidence to actually train my daughter. Actually, we feel hope that if you train him, maybe we never able to train him as good as them, but when we try to actually follow the similar path, hopefully she can become a devotee. And to my surprise, actually, she's progressing, for his early age. Now, she may chance, she's not focused, but she stand, at least do her rounds. And now, actually, I changed her school very recently, and I asked after a couple of days, how do you find your school? And I say, it is good school, but he said, everybody eats meat and nobody chants. Then I started laughing. I said, yeah, this is how it is in this material world. But he said, you don't eat meat and you chant. I said, no. Some of her friends told her, why you chant? They will actually take away your chanting bead and everything. I said, don't worry, you just chant. Even if they take away your chanting bead, don't worry. Just keep chanting when you get a time. So this is the actually mercy that we receive from this program. His Guru Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada, Amrish Prabhu. So this is what I actually found it very interesting that actually, but even I'm contaminated, but only because I'm trying to follow them, we actually receive all this mercy, and children are actually growing up. And sometimes I actually felt anyways that actually I wasted my actually childhood. I didn't have this opportunity to actually learn these things from the age of 5. It took me maybe 26, 28 years when I actually came to know about this Krishna consciousness. So all these years are wasted. But at least we came into the contact. It's just the mercy of the devotees that we actually got this chance to learn. And Prahlad Maharaj made this very point that is very important to start at a very young age. So we should not actually waste this great opportunity of this human life where we can actually meditate, learn, and introspect. That is our best chance to actually get out of this material world. So all this instruction, it's a lot to talk, but this is what I found it very, very interesting. Secondly, today, as this is a sannyas acceptance day of our Guru Maharaj, dear Guru Maharaj, His Holiness Mahavishnu Goswami Maharaj. And I was thinking about this. I mentioned this earlier that I never met Guru Maharaj personally, never seen him, only photographs, but we actually learned all his instructions, from his Grace Amrish Prabhu in our program. And that is inspiring us. And I was thinking about the same pastime of Shri Narad Muni and Prahlad Maharaj. Narad Muni even didn't saw Prahlad Maharaj when he was in the womb of his mother Kayadu. He didn't know about his inclination. He didn't know how he is. But he was very confident that this boy is going to be a very good devotee. And even without knowing him, he instructed him. And so actually, that is a relationship between the pure devotee and Guru. So actually, even Prahlad Maharaj being a very infant, where it says that actually even this soul acquires this material body, it never mixes with it. It still has that ability to learn, which is very much a constitutional position of the spirit soul. And he became a pure devotee by birth. When his birth, he was liberated. So even we don't have any direct contact with our Guru Maharaj, who is pure devotee and who's following in the footsteps of all these Mahajanas. We only listening to their instruction, we are changing. I'm still struggling, but actually I can see, all these devotees, and they are actually preaching, and they are actually, becoming a lion, as Amrish Prabhu wanted. that we should not become a sheep. And actually, I'm trying to learn the same. And all this actually instruction that we learn from Guru Maharaj and Srila Prabhupada, even Srila Prabhupada, we never made, it's just his books and what we learned. But the impact that they have left on our lives is profound, Our whole life has been changed because of their instructions. That doesn't mean that actually I have progressed, because I'm very much struggling. But I have this hope, if we continue on this path, just learning from the life of Prahlad Maharaj, who become very much steady, in the greatest difficulty, we can do the same, try to follow the same suit, and we should be able to achieve this aim one day, hopefully, with the mercy of Guru Maharaj. And on this auspicious day, he took the sannyas, and we are getting benefited now because, he has many disciples. And well, and thank you, Ambrish Prabhu, for giving us his shelter and Srila Prabhupada's teachings as well. Thank you. This is my realization. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Very nice realizations. I very much appreciate your realizations, Simri. And there's a lot to learn from you and Navrata Mataji, even in extreme situations and circumstances. How one has to be steadfast in one's bhakti. So don't underestimate, you just minimize your things, you're learning also. It's very, very nice and very powerful. And I remember Devaki Nandan Prabhu always mentions about this particular incident of Maharaj, where one day Maharaj called him. Maharaj had a stroke in London. Maharaj, after sannyas traveling in London, Maharaj had a stroke. So Maharaj was in the hospital. And Maharaj called him. He said, Devaki, call everybody, all disciples, and tell them I'm giving up sannyas order. They said, why, Maharaj? Why are you giving up sannyas order? So because I've got stroke. And sannyasi means one has to travel around the world and preach. I won't be able to preach, I don't know. So what is the use of taking sannyas? You see? So exalted personality, so honest and truthful. And in that, Maharaj would tell him that it's not that, he said, who mentioned that it's not that he fell down, like so many suggestions have fallen down. And it was just that the body was not cooperating at that one stage. He had a stroke. So this is how Maharaj was renounced of renunciation also. So how fortunate we are just to be associating with him. Association with pure devotees, with his sound. I can tell you, as I was always told you, that not that Maharaj would give Bhagavatam class in Rajkot every day and there'll be full house. No, few. When those living in Rajkot would not come. And now everyone is craving for it. Every word is like gold, Every word is like gold in following Srila Prabhupada's instructions. So, same way, all of you who follow instructions of Srila Prabhupada, instructions of His Mahavishnu Goswami Maharaj, in the mood of following Srila Prabhupada, you all are associating with Maharaj. Otherwise, this maxim is wrong to say that Vaishnava never dies. He lives to preach and he dies to be with the Lord again. You see. So, very nice. It's very, very good. Hare Krishna. Please continue. More realizations. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Thank you to all the devotees for giving your nice realizations. Happy Lord Narsimha Appearance Day to everyone, and Srila Gurudev's Sannyas Order Day. My realization is from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 7, Chapter 5, which is about Sri Prahlad Maharaj, the saintly son of Hiranyakashipu. So, as we all know, Prahlad Maharaj, our great devotee, who at the age of 5 taught everyone around him the importance of devotional service. As pure and saintly Prahlad Maharaj were, that's equally how demoniac and terrorizing his father, Hiranyakashipu, was. As is explained in Srimad Bhagavatam, Hiranyakashipu was a big, powerful demon who received many boons from the demigods. In today's age, there are many smaller terrorists and gundas in the world that people are terrified by, but that was nothing compared to how terrifying Hiranyakashipu was. Despite his power and terror, Sri Prahlad Maharaj were not at all influenced or affected by Hiranyakashipu. Even though Prahlad Maharaj were forced to receive teachings from materially influenced demoniac teachers, his realizations remained pure and unadulterated. So when asked from his father what was the best of knowledge that he had received, Prahlad Maharaj replied with the famous verse, Shri Prahlad Uvacha Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnuhu Smaranam Pada Sevanam Archanam Vandanam Dasyam Sakhyam Atma Nivedanam Iti Pumsarpita Vishnu Bhaktis Cheneva Lakshana Kriyeta Bhagavati Adha Tanmanye Aditam Uttamam. Translation. Prahlad Maharaj said, hearing and chanting about the transcendental holy name, form, qualities, paraphernalia, and pastimes of Lord Vishnu, remembering them, serving the lotus feet of the Lord, offering the Lord respectful worship with 16 types of paraphernalia, offering prayers to the Lord, becoming his servant, considering the Lord's one's best friend, and surrendering everything unto him. In other words, serving him with the body, mind, and words. These 9 processes of bhakti are accepted as pure devotional service. One who has dedicated his life to the service of Krishna through these 9 methods should be understood to be the most learned person, for he has acquired complete knowledge. Srila Prabhupada have written a very long and beautiful purport for these verses, but I just want to share one paragraph where Prabhupada writes, the 9 different processes enunciated by Prahlad Maharaj, who learned them from Narad Muni, may not all be required for the execution of devotional service. If a devotee performs only one of these 9 without deviation, he can attain the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Sometimes it is found that when one performs one of the processes, other processes are mixed with it. That is not improper for a devotee. When a devotee executes any one of the 9 processes, Nava Lakshana, this is sufficient. The other 8 processes are included. So as we know, Shravanam, which is hearing the holy name of the Lord, is the most essential and where it all begins, bhakti. What I learned is that I must try and perfect the process of Shravanam through my chanting or hearing about the Lord from the devotees. That way I can slowly try to improve the other 8 processes, but only by the mercy of pure devotees. So after hearing this verse from Prahlad Maharaj, Hiranyakashipu gets more angry and orders his demons to kill Prahlad Maharaj. There are many ways that they try to kill Prahlad Maharaj, by striking him with tridents, threatening him, throwing him beneath the feet of big elephants, throwing snakes onto him, throwing him off a hill, and many more ways. But Prahlad Maharaj, being a pure devotee, are completely unaffected by all their attempts to destroy him. Prahlad Maharaj are simply meditating upon the Lord and are completely surrendered unto him. Thus the Lord protects him from all sorts of harm. After reading these verses, I was thinking about how I can practically implement teachings from Prahlad Maharaj into my life. I realized that no matter how terrifying or alternatively glamorous material things may look, they will ultimately take me away from Krishna. There are many terrifying things in the world today, But by meditating upon Krishna and surrendering unto him, I'm able to tolerate and not let my path of Krishna consciousness get affected. On the flip side, there are also many glamorous and attractive things in the world that can easily deviate our attention. Just imagine if Prahlad Maharaj wanted to, he could have easily given up Krishna consciousness and taken reign from his father, the most powerful demon in the world. But no, Prahlad Maharaj were not illusioned by the glitz and glamour that came with power. So in the same way, I must follow in the footsteps of Prahlad Maharaj and dedicate my life to Krishna through the 9 processes of bhakti. That is how I can protect myself from the dangers of the material world. Every day we sing Lord Narsimhadeva prayers, which give us strength and courage to carry on in the material world. Just like we have to wear polarized or darkened sunglasses to protect our eyes from the treacherous rays of the sun, similarly, to protect ourselves from the treacherous rays of Maya, we must view the world with the lens of Krishna consciousness. That is how we can truly understand the material world for what it is, an illusion, and not get affected by it. Thank you. That is my realization. Hare Krishna.
Very nice. Very nice. Mother. Nice realization. Please, you must keep giving like this. Wonderful. Hare Krishna. Okay, who would like to go next now? Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Thank you very much for your wonderful realizations. Very nice to see everyone. Nice to see you, Pradhan Gopika Mataji. Very good. Krishna. I think my video will go off because I'm going to read from my phone. So bear with me. So this is from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 7, Chapter 4, verse 31 and 32. Brahmanya Shila Sampanna Satya Sandho Jitendriya Atmavad Sarva Bhutana Eka Priya Sruta Tamaha Dasavad Sanatari Yangeha Pitruvadina Vatsalaha Pratavad Sadrishe Stigdo Guru Swaishwara Bhavanaha Vidyartha Rupa Janmadhyo Manasamba Vivarjitaha. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The qualities of Maharaj Prahlad, the son of Hiranyakashipu, are described herewith. He was completely cultured as a qualified Brahmana, having very good character and being determined to understand the absolute truth. He had full control of his senses and mind, like the super soul. He was kind to every living entity and was the best friend of everyone. To respectable persons, he acted exactly like a menial servant. To the poor, he was like a father. To his equals, he was attached like a sympathetic brother, and he considered his teachers, spiritual masters, and older god brothers to be as good as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He was completely free from unnatural pride that might have arisen from his good education, riches, beauty, aristocracy, and so on. I'm just going to read the translation of a few next verses. It's very much in context. Just read the translation for lack of time. Although Prahlad Maharaj was born in a family of Asuras, he himself was not an Asura, but a great devotee of Lord Vishnu. Unlike the other Asuras, he was never envious of Vaishnavas. He was not agitated when put into danger, and he was neither directly or indirectly interested in the fruitive activities described in the Vedas. Indeed, he considered everything material to be useless, and therefore he was completely devoid of material desires. He always controlled his senses and life air, and being of steady intelligence and determination, he subdued all lusty desires. O king, Prahlad Maharaj's good qualities are still glorified by learned saints and Vaishnavas. As all good qualities are always found existing in the Supreme Personality of Godhead, they also exist forever in his devotee Prahlad Maharaj. In any assembly where there are discourses about saints and devotees, O King Yudhishthir, even the enemies of the demons, namely the demigods, what to speak of you, would cite Prahlad Maharaj as an example of a great devotee. Who could list the innumerable transcendental qualities of Prahlad Maharaj? He had unflinching faith in Vasudev, Lord Krishna, the son of Vasudev, and unalloyed devotion to him. His attachment to Lord Krishna was natural because of his previous devotional service. Although his good qualities cannot be enumerated, they prove that he was a great soul, Mahatma. From the very beginning of his childhood, Prahlad Maharaj was uninterested in childish playthings. Indeed, he gave them up altogether and remained silent and dull, being fully absorbed in Krishna consciousness. Since his mind was always affected by Krishna consciousness, he could not understand how the world goes on being fully absorbed in the activities of sense gratification. Prahlad Maharaj was always absorbed in thought of Krishna. Thus, being always embraced by the Lord, he did not know how his bodily necessities, such as sitting, walking, eating, lying down, drinking, and talking, were being automatically performed. Because of advancement in Krishna consciousness, he sometimes cried, sometimes laughed, sometimes expressed jubilation, and sometimes sang loudly. So I'll stop over here. When I was reading about Prahlad Maharaj, I remember the first introduction of Prahlad Maharaj to me was in my childhood when I was a small child, and we were told stories about Prahlad Maharaj. And I remember that, as I mentioned earlier, that we used to have this Bhagavad Gita that we used to read. And my grandfather had passed on this habit for all of us to start reading at the age of, I think it started at the age of 8 or something like that. And I remember when I was reading, even as a small child, there are some things that stay with you and kind of affect you in a positive way. And I remember reading this Bhaktat Uttam Prahlad. And as a small child, I remember, like, you always want to be the best in everything that you do. And when I read that, I thought, this is something amazing. Like, he's the best devotee. He's the best devotee, So we have to be like Prahlad Maharaj. And that thought always stayed on with me. And as you read more and more, and you hear more and more about Prahlad Maharaj, as rightly pointed out by the other devotees, only at the age of 5, Prahlad Maharaj knew that he was fully dependent on Lord Krishna. He was completely fearless, no matter whatever was done to him, whether he was thrown from the mountain, whether he was put in the fire, or whether he was put in the area of where there were snakes. There was no fear, absolutely, for a 5-year-old child. Not at any point of time in between, Prahlad Maharaj thought that now Lord Krishna should save me. He was waiting patiently. He was tolerating patiently all the inebrities that were thrusted upon him by his own father. And when his father mentioned that Lord Krishna is actually, our enemy, because he's killed my brother, at that time also Prahlad Maharaj says to his father that actually his brother has got the benediction now that he's being killed by Lord Krishna at the age of 5. So it's from a perspective of a 5-year-old person to know so much, when in our real life, when we sometimes meet, we do meet small children, and they do speak intelligently. Even in the material sense, come across some children like that. And, we think, oh, actually, I can learn from this child. So what to speak of Prahlad Maharaj? We can completely learn how to live our life from Prahlad Maharaj. Because he had all the excuses to not perform devotional service in his life. He had all the excuses to not be Krishna conscious. But here is a perfect example, and that's why it's called a Mahajan, one of the 12 Mahajans, as rightly pointed out by the other devotees as well. What is the quality of a Mahajan? That he had no other focus but Krishna in his life. And he had complete faith that Krishna will take charge of his life, as we were just reading in the translation of the verses. So it's absolutely role model for any person of any age, whether you're 5-year-old or, you can give the example of Prahlad Maharaj to your child who is 5 years old. You can give that example to a person of your own age as well, or even a very old person. And I do remember Srila Gurudev in Rajkot had once, we were talking about Prahlad Maharaj's verses, and I remember this distinctly, that when Srila Gurudev was giving the Srimad Bhagavatam class in Rajkot, at that time, when I remember Maharaj saying this specifically, that when Lord Narsimhadeva appeared and he was very pleased and he asked for a benediction, what he should give to Prahlad Maharaj. At that time, Prahlad Maharaj said, "My Lord, don't worry about me. I will stay here, and until the last person from this material world goes back to Godhead, I will stay here, and I'll make sure, that everyone goes back." And then Srila Gurudev said, who can say this to the Supreme Personality of Godhead? If the Supreme Personality of Godhead is asking you for something, you're going to ask for going back to Godhead, you're going to ask, but that's not what Prahlad Maharaj said. And it really struck me at that time that how powerful this personality is. when Hiranyakashipu was so powerful that the demigods were also fearing him and were under his control. Everything was in his power, in his demonic power. Yet he could not do anything to Prahlad Maharaj. And that is the beauty of a pure devotee of the Lord. And it just teaches you fearlessness. There is nothing to fear. If you have that unflinching faith that Krishna is there with you and Krishna will protect you, and you have that unalloyed devotion like Prahlad Maharaj, then there is nothing to fear. And fearlessness is a great quality which many people aspire to have. You may acquire a lot of wealth, you may acquire a lot of fame, you may acquire all material qualities, everything. In spiritually also you may acquire a lot of qualities, but to acquire fearlessness is a huge achievement. So I think that there is so much to learn, and not to give excuses when we are trusted by the difficulties in our life, and just focusing on our Krishna consciousness. And times will pass. I was also thinking on this point that if we are faced with a difficulty, then we do try to distract our attention from the difficulty by trying to read, chant, or read the scriptures, or sometimes we, might even challenge Lord Krishna. Why am I facing so much difficulty? I just want to really do your service, and why is all this happening to me, or whatever. But Prahlad Maharaj really never did that, and that was the lesson that I really think I learned, that no, there is always a time. The difficulties we're facing are also because of our own karma, our own cycle. It has, and it's good that the difficulties are there in our lives, because that means Krishna is interested in our life, and Krishna is making sure that he wipes out everything and nothing is left for us to come back. So just the positivity in that, and not to question, but just that there is a time for everything. And when the demigods went to Lord Krishna said that right now Hiranyakashipu's time is very favorable to him, so you have to wait. So even Prahlad Maharaj had to go through so many difficulties. It's not that why now the answer is not there. So that's another thing that you can learn from Prahlad Maharaj's life, that the answer to the worries or the difficulties will come if you have faith. But the time, you may think the time is now, but the time may not be now. It might be later, or it might be even before you think. So those are the practical lessons that we can learn, that if we have the faith, then Krishna knows, no one knows better than Krishna. So he knows what's the right time for us. He knows what's the right solution for us, everything. It's only that instead of us holding the steering wheel of our life car, if we just allow Krishna to take charge, then there is a lot of hope. And there is a perfect example in front of our eyes. Even when he was given poison, he just drank it. He did not, no question that I'm not going to have it or anything like that. So that much faith is just amazing. And of course, the most important day today is also that it is our dear Srila Gurudev's day, when Srila Gurudev took sannyas order of life. And without that day, I cannot imagine what would have happened to souls like me. So it's such an amazing experience to be in the shelter of our dear Srila Gurudev, His Holiness Mahavishnu Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. We have been very fortunate to have had the association of Srila Gurudev in Rajkot personally, and also when Srila Gurudev visited New Zealand, and in other places in India as well. And there was one quality, when I was reading about these qualities of Prahlad Maharaj, I thought this is so much resonance with Srila Gurudev's qualities as well. And the one thing that really stood out to me was there was complete genuinity. There was no pretension. That is just so touching. There was no show business. There was nothing to show, and so genuine and so pure. You can just take darshan of Maharaj, and that is it. You just hear those nectarian words. They will cut through your, if you listen to Maharaj's lectures, or even if you listen to Maharaj's sweet voice, it will cut through all the difficulties of your life. And I think it's very important. I can see the influence of Srila Gurudev on the lives of so many nice devotees here who have not even met Maharaj, and I'm sure are experiencing that shelter. So in that spirit, just praying that we all wish that, that we can be great. I can be a great servant of the great devotees of the Lord, by following the footsteps of great personalities like His Holiness Mahavishnu Goswami Maharaj and Prahlad Maharaj. Jai Srila Gurudev ki jai, Jai Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Purnabhagavadasi, for your nice realization. Now, who would like to jump in now, please? Feel free.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Thank you, Pragya Mataji, for your very nice realizations. Thank you, all the devotees, for beautiful realizations you have shared with us. Shri Narsimha Chaturdashi ki jai. As we all know, there are countless leelas of the Lord, and devotees always relish these beautiful leelas. And this is one of the leelas which Krishna actually performed on for the benefit of all of us. Shri Narsimhadev appearance day is very special for Hare Krishna weekend group, because on this auspicious day, our beloved spiritual master, His Holiness Mahavishnu Goswami Maharaj, accepted his sannyas order. Srila Mahavishnu Goswami Maharaj ki jai. And due to Srila Gurudev's causeless mercy, we are celebrating the appearance day of Lord Narsimhadev today, and enjoying all the nectarian realizations from all of you. What is the significance of this day? On this day, Lord Narsimhadev appeared from a pillar to prove his pure devotees' words right. I would like to share a verse from Srimad Bhāgavatam, Canto 7, Chapter 8, verse 17. Satyam vidhatum nijvritya bhashitam vyaptim cha bhuteshu akhileshu chatmanah adrishyatatyadbhutrupamudvahan stambhe sabhayam na mrigam na manusham. Translation by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. To prove that the statement of his servant Prahlad Maharaj was substantial, in other words, to prove that the Supreme Lord is present everywhere, even within the pillar of an assembly hall, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Hare, exhibited a wonderful form never before seen. The form was neither that of a man nor that of a lion. Thus the Lord appeared in his wonderful form in the assembly hall. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. When Hiranyakashipu asked Prahlad Maharaj, "Where is your Lord? Is he present in this pillar?" Prahlad Maharaj fearlessly replied, "Yes, my Lord is present everywhere." Therefore, to convince Hiranyakashipu's Kashipu that the statement of Prahlad Maharaj was unmistakably true. The Lord appeared from the pillar. The Lord appeared as half lion and half man, so that Hiranyakashipu could not understand whether the great giant was a lion or a human being. To substantiate Prahlad's statement, the Lord proved that his devotee, as declared in Bhagavad Gita, is never vanquished. Kaunteya pratijanihi na me bhakta pranishati. Prahlad Maharaj's demonic father has repeatedly threatened to kill Prahlad, but Prahlad was confident that he could not be killed. Since he was protected by the Supreme Lord, by appearing from the pillar, the Lord encouraged his devotee, saying in effect, "Don't worry, I am present here." By manifesting his form as Narsimhadeva, the Lord also preserved the truth of Lord Brahma's promise that Hiranyakashipu was not to be killed by any animal or any man. The Lord appeared in a form that could not be said to be fully a man or a lion. That appearance of Lord Narsimhadeva is so wonderful and very mesmerizing as well. I have realized whenever my grandchild sees Lord Narsimhadeva's photo, she will always ask, "Who is this?" And then she will listen the story of him and enjoy it. So it's very fascinating for the children. For a non-devotee, Narsimhadeva might appear very fearsome or ferocious, but for a devotee, this is the most merciful avatar of the Lord. Hiranyakashipu represents our materialistic way of life, where there is no place for God. We think ourselves the controller of everything, but Lord Narsimhadeva teaches us that whatever way we try to safeguard ourselves, we cannot escape from the cruel clutches of death, and therefore we are always fearful of losing everything. Srila Prabhupada says, only Krishna consciousness makes us fearless, as Prahlad Maharaj was always fearless and worshipping Lord Vishnu in all conditions. As his devotional service was a hetuki apratihata, without any material motive and unbroken, in the same way, we must engage ourselves in the loving devotional service of the Lord. To save his exalted devotee, Lord can appear from anywhere in any form. But a non-devotee like Hiranyakashipu will not understand this mystery. Another quality of Prahlad Maharaj is that he is a profound preacher. At the age of 5, he is preaching his ferocious demonic father without any tinge of fear. His father tried all means of killing him, but Prahlad Maharaj is not afraid at all. A Krishna conscious preacher should not be afraid. Srila Prabhupada was not afraid. Srila Gurudev was not afraid. So why should we be afraid? So that's what I take from this verse. And I pray to Lord Narsimhadev that whatever anarthas that take birth in my heart all the time should be destroyed. And we sing Narsimhadev prayers every day, morning and evening, and just pray to Lord Narsimhadev that all kinds of lust, all kinds of greed, and any types of anartha should be uprooted from our heart. So Lord Narsimhadev appearance day ki jai. Thank you. That's my realization for the day. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mother. Thank you very much for a nice realization. Jai. Narsimha Bhagavan ki jai. Yes, who would like to give your realization now, please?
Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Thank you all very much for your very nice realizations. I certainly learned a lot from listening to everyone on this auspicious day of Narsimhadeva Chaturdasi and Srila Gurudev's Sannyas order acceptance on this day. And without Srila Gurudev, as mentioned by everyone, we don't know where we would have been in our journey in devotional service. So, all glories to Srila Gurudev. Now, for the sake of time, I'm just going to keep this short and sweet. I'd just like to base my realization on the same verse that Sanjeev Prabhu had also referred to. And it's also part of the injunctions that we speak in our Nishingadev prayers, which my father also was saying. This is from Srimad Bhāgavatam, Canto 5, Chapter 18, verse 8. So I'll just sing the verse once and go to translation. Om Namo Bhagavate Narsimhaya Namaste Jasate Jase Avir Bhava Vajranakha Vajradamshra Karma Shayan Randha Randhaya Tamo Grasa Grasa Om Swaha Abham Abham Atmani Bhushta Om Ksham. So the translation is, I offer my respectful obeisances unto Lord Nishingadev, the source of all power. O my Lord, who possesses nails and teeth just like thunderbolts, kindly vanquish our demon-like desires for fruitive activity in this material world. Please appear in our hearts and drive away our ignorance, so that by your mercy we may become fearless in the struggle for existence in this material world. So Srila Prabhupada very nicely mentions in the purport here that, as actually mentioned by the other devotees as well, that we can take a lot from, even though this happened in Satyuga, which is millions of years ago, we can take a lot from the pastime of Lord Nishingadev and Hiranyakashipu and Prahlad Maharaj, that actually we all, as Sanjeev said, we're all a little bit, we all have a bit of Hiranyakashipu inside us. And that, when we think about Hiranyakashipu as a great demon, but he was an atheist, in the same way as Hiranyakashipu wanted to be immortal. And so he performed severe penances and Lord Brahma could not grant him immortality. And yet Hiranyakashipu was trying to find a loophole to get immortality. In the same way as an atheist, you don't want to accept the authority of the Lord, and so an authority of God or even a higher power. So you have all these different explanations, all these different ideas about why certain things are, without submitting to a higher authority. So Hiranyakashipu, as mentioned by Srila Prabhupada, is the personification of material desire. And so we all materialists, not we all, but all materialists want to make the body comfortable. But Prahlad Maharaj was a devotee, and a devotee wants to be free of material desires. And so it's mentioned in the verse itself, the translation, that we wish to be vanquished from these material desires. And that's why we take the shelter of Lord Nishingadev to do so. And almost a metaphorical, understanding of the pastime, of Hiranyakashipu and Lord Nishingadev. Just another point that I'd like to mention is that on the same theme of this atheist versus theist sort of, angle of it, that this is actually very nicely mentioned by Srila Prabhupada as well. And I very much resonated with this, that, the difference between how a devotee sees, the Lord, and how a materialist, an atheist, a demon, whatever you want to call, a person, sees the Lord. So when Lord Nishingadev appeared from the pillar, Prahlad Maharaj saw Lord Nishingadev as, the Lord, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the main aim, and the solace for which he was wanting to attain. But Hiranyakashipu saw, Lord Nishingadev as death, as the ultimate death. So there's a complete duality of understanding. So, atheists, when they're faced with death, when you talk to anyone who doesn't, have a religious or spiritual background, death is always a subject for them where they're like, it's almost fearing. Some people may say they're not fearful of death, but you don't know until you're faced in that position. So it's always the fear of the unknown, sort of thing. And so whenever they're presented with death, they're at a complete loss. Whereas anyone who's following, any spiritual inclination, but particularly us as bhakti yogis, we understand that death is actually our biggest opportunity to remember Lord Krishna. And easy for me to say, but that's the entire process that we're following, that we're leading up to the point of death. So Srila Gurudev says that we must lead our life and in such a way that how will we remember Lord Krishna on our deathbed? So that is what we what I can learn from Prahlad Maharaj, that when Prahlad Maharaj was so-called faced with death, where Hiranyakashipu put him through torture and putting him in a burning pot of oil, throwing him from the edge of a cliff, etc., etc. So many things, but Prahlad Maharaj was never fearful, and always was always under the shelter of the Lord. So that is a difference between a pure devotee, or someone who's aspiring to be a pure devotee, and someone who isn't, and someone who doesn't accept the authority of the Lord. Now, just my last point, because I'm aware of time here, that Srila Prabhupada mentions in the purport of Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 7, Chapter 9, Verse 6, that, when we actually, Prahlad Maharaj was a devotee of the Lord, that's right, but he was born in a demoniac family, so he had demoniac blood running through his veins. And so, every impediment that could have been for Prahlad Maharaj was there. Being a so-called demon from a demoniac family, and yet that did not stop Prahlad Maharaj from thinking about Lord Krishna. We can say that he was a pure devotee, and from birth, from Narad Muni, teaching his mother about devotional service, etc. But the point being that for all of us, to practically understand this, that we all have impediments in our devotional service in any capacity. But how do we deal with these impediments, and how do we concentrate on the ultimate aim? Is something that we can take inspiration from Prahlad Maharaj. But those that are contaminated by these impediments, they can't be situated in the transcendental platform. That's what Srila Prabhupada says, and that makes sense. That when you think about any karmis or any materialists, it's very difficult for anyone to be in a transcendental or begin to be in a transcendental situation when they're so contaminated by the three modes of material nature. And I can say that from my own experience. So, this bhakti yoga process is not, it's very easy, but at the same time, we're the ones who make it, or at least I'm the person who makes it difficult for myself. And, Prahlad Maharaj was such a devotee that everything was so easy for him to always look, at Krishna as everything as Krishna as well. Everything as, Krishna is here. Krishna is everywhere. Krishna is in this pillar. I was thinking to myself, do I believe that Krishna is in a pillar, or that Krishna is everywhere? It's that, to get to that level is actually really, really, a qualification of a topmost devotee. And as we mentioned even about Srila Gurudev, that, being in the sannyas order of life, he was, Srila Gurudev was so dissatisfied with being ill. Now, what a incredible position to be in, to look at it that way. We see so many people who are, sick or suffering, and they take that as an excuse to, perhaps be lax in certain, areas or anything. But someone at the advanced age of 80 plus, thinking like that, always looking to preach, always looking to, perform the devotional service in the capacity that they want to, is really an inspiration for all of us, and something that, we can only hope to follow in the footsteps of. So on this auspicious day of Shri Narsimhadeva Chaturdasi, and Srila Gurudev's Sannyas Acceptance Day. It serves as a very good reminder for myself to the importance of being focused, in devotional service, particularly at a time where, or at a stage in my life where there's so many temptations left, right, and center, that we always keep that keep that as the focal point of our attention. So thank you very much, and thank you all for the wonderful realizations as well. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Krishna, for nice realizations. Hare Krishna, very nice. Youngsters participating and giving realization is very good in these important festivals. Yes, I would like to give your realizations now. Peaceful. Hare Krishna. We'll wait for 10 more seconds. Hare Krishna. Okay, Hare Krishna. Dear devotees, thank you very much to all of you for your wonderful realizations. It's a bit late in the day. Here we are nearly, 12 minutes to go to our 9:30. And it's late for those participating and joining us from India and other countries. I don't know other countries, but so yeah, I'll come to my realizations. Thank you very much to all of you, first of all, for your very, very nice realizations, very inspiring. And it's a big day for all of us where we did everything. We had performed deity worship, we had decorations, we had prasadam, big feast, and now we are sharing our knowledge, purifying our consciousness. So just I'll not read the verses, I'll come to the points there. So after Prahlad Maharaj, when Lord Narsimhadeva killed Hiranyakashipu, Hiranyakashipu was no ordinary demon. In one of the other episodes, which is not very prevalently known, but there's also a case where when Hiranyaksha was killed by Lord Vishnu, Hiranyakashipu came searching for him, for Lord Vishnu, who is aboard. And Lord Vishnu, out of compassion for him, he entered into the body of Hiranyakashipu through his nostrils. That's another pastime for another day. But here, so there's this where it says that this is how powerful Hiranyakashipu is. Hiranyakashipu also is the one who cursed. If you know Krishna's brothers, who were killed by Ravana, 6 of them. So they were actually cursed by Hiranyakashipu to be killed by Ravana, who was then their father in the previous birth. Interesting. But still Ravana and Hiranyakashipu are the same Jai Vijay. So it's an interesting point there. So he's no ordinary personality Hiranyakashipu. It's very, very, very powerful. as so many devotees have shared the realizations. Now, after Lord Narsimhadeva killed Hiranyakashipu, all the demigods, including Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva, they tried to pacify Lord Narsimhadeva. But in the end, Lord Brahma requested Prahlad Maharaj, who was standing very quietly with folded hands by the side of Lord Narsimhadeva, to pacify the Lord. So all this thing was happening, fight happening between Lord Narsimhadeva and Hiranyakashipu. His father, Lord Narsimhadeva, picked him up and killed him. And then he killed all the soldiers and kings in Hiranyakashipu's kingdom, there, standing there. And all this while Prahlad Maharaj was standing with the folded hands on the side. 5-year-old boy. And with the ferociousness, as we know, all the demigods, including Lord Shiva and Brahma, couldn't approach him. Goddess of Fortune couldn't approach him. That's why Lord Brahma requested him, Prahlad Maharaj, please, now you go and pacify the Lord. So then, after pacifying the Lord very affectionately placed his lotus hands on Prahlad Maharaj's head. And Prahlad Maharaj prayed to the Lord. Among the prayers, he says that, you have not placed your hand on the heads of Lord Brahma, nor Lord Shiva, nor even Goddess of Fortune, but you placed it on my head. He said, I'm low born. I'm born in an Asura family. But you still showed mercy on me, which you don't show to the Goddess of Fortune also, Lakshmi also. So further, Srila Prahlad Maharaj could have asked for any benedictions after that, when Lord said, what do you want? So what did he ask? He said he prayed to the Lord that he would want to become a servant of his devotee, of the Lord's devotee. That was his prayers. That's what he wanted. See, this brings the depth in the philosophy of understanding Godhead. The Bhakti Yoga brings that depth. Who will do this? This point has been raised that he could ask for anything in today's evening's discussion. But he did not. He just asked for being servant of a devotee. That's it. Very powerful. So he says that, my dear Lord, I have complete experience. See, why did he do that? It's very practical why he did that, why he asked for this. He gives a reason for it. He says, my dear Lord, I have complete experience. He said, I've got complete experience concerning the worldly opulence, mystic power, longevity, and other material pleasures enjoyed by all living entities, from Lord Brahma down to the ant. He had seen his father doing it. And he saw his father, how he was killed. So as powerful time, you destroy them all. He understands this point, that momentarily, temporarily, even for thousands of years, Divine people could rule the world. But as time, short time, will come and destroy them. Mrityu sarva haraschaham, Krishna says. And he says, therefore, because of my experience, I do not wish to possess them. See, his practical experience he has, seeing his father and all the other demons. That's why I don't want all these opulences. to possess them. He said, my dear Lord, I request you. So he very thoughtfully meditated upon what should I ask? What is it that is permanent? It's not destroyed. It remains with him, even after death, to eternity. Yeah, no, we know it's devotional service. That's right. But how is this devotional service achieved? That has to be understood by what is asking. He says, I do not wish to possess any of them because of my experience. He said, my dear Lord, he says, I request you to place me in touch with your pure devotee and let me serve him as a sincere servant. This is what he asks. You see? So we have to understand this very clearly. Devotional service remains permanent, yes. Gopi Bhartur Pada Kamalayo Das Dasan Das, yes. Surrender to servant, yes. These are only words. But here Prahlad Maharaj, through experience, asks for this. Because this doesn't go away. And devotional service to the Lord directly is not beneficial. That's why a very experienced devotee like Srila Prahlad Maharaj was a Mahajan, was given us the path, Pantha, which we have to follow. Prabhupada insists, we must follow the path given by the Mahajans. So royal road to success. This is the point to be understood. That's why they say, and he said that I want to become servant of your duty. Please, he said, I request you to place me in touch with your pure devotee and let me serve him as a sincere servant. Now here for us, Srila Prabhupada, being a pure devotee, risked everything in his life and came out in the world to save the world and tell people, become devotee of Krishna. Kali Yuga is very different. In other yugas, there are sincere seekers who would search out a guru, working very hard. In Kali Yuga, nobody wants to search out a guru. They are not interested in guru. They are not interested in Krishna consciousness. Because so many gurus are fraud. They are happy to be eating, sleeping, mating, defending, dying like cats and dogs, next birth again in demonic conditions as a cat or dog. Imagine this. You will never come out of the cycle. The moment we go down from the human race, species to a lower race, it is nearly impossible to come up to the human race again, species again. Please. So when we see in front of our eyes, we see so many insects. They are alive like us. So many animals, dogs, cats, birds, beasts. They are alive like us. Even aliens, if there are any. But if they are not in touch with Krishna, it is useless. You cannot come out of that species. Only through natural process you can come out of it. 8.4 million. And if somebody kills you, finish again, start from their life again. But in that species also, you will have a loving father and mother. You'll be afraid of so many other things. And you think this life is all in all. Protecting of the body is all in all. Having sex is all in all. Eating, sleeping is all in all. Died, finished. Next birth, again in the same species or lower species or little higher species. We are in such a precarious condition in this life. We are ourselves to be blamed for this. And we don't want to learn. And we don't want to change. We don't want to use our brains. We don't want to sit with Srila Prabhupada's books quietly. Chintan, meditating, contemplating. What did Prahlad Maharaj say for this? And what did he request? Please place me in touch with your pure devotee and let me serve him as a sincere servant. And we are in touch with Prabhupada. Are we sincere to Prabhupada? Look how Mahavishnu Goswami Maharaj was sincere to Prabhupada. Maharaj would tell me that Ambrish, people would call us, you are fanatic of Prabhupada. We are fanatic of Prabhupada. Best. Yes, we are fanatic of Prabhupada. That's the point. Only Prabhupada, Maharaj would say, had the ability to bring out living beings from the rut of this material existence and bring up totally in one piece. Prabhupada will bring us out from the gutter in one piece. Now the same request which Prahlad Maharaj has, he requests further. I'll read the translation just coming to the point, not the Sanskrit verses. He says that, my dear Lord, O Supreme Personality of Godhead, because of my association with material desires, one after another, I was gradually falling into a blind well full of snakes, following the general populace. So general populace, people in general, are falling very rapidly into the well full of snakes. Blind well. You can't even see the snakes to know where are the snakes, where can they bite you. But very happily we're falling in. You may be a big businessman, you may be a big CEO, you may be a president or prime minister, or whoever it is you are, or a pauper. Unless you have this knowledge, which is so confidential knowledge, we are going to suffer birth after birth. So he says that I had all these material desires, one after another. I was gradually falling into the blind well full of snakes, following the general populace. But your servant, he remembers this point. One of us raised this point in the discussion. So, but your servant, Narad Muni, kindly accepted me as his disciple by giving instructions and instructed me how to achieve this transcendental position. Therefore, Prahlad Maharaj says, therefore, my first duty is to serve him. How could I leave his service? He asked him this question. See, so clever. So one who brings this knowledge of transcendence to us, our first duty is to serve him. And the duty is towards Srila Prabhupada. And the first thing, best thing we can do is worship his books. How do we worship his books? By studying them. We worship him. By following them. Bringing it to our life. By associating with devotees. We don't fight with anybody. But we have our path chalked out. We will do what Prabhupada tells us to do. And for that, we should know what he's telling us to do. Not what others have told us reading Prabhupada's books, that Prabhupada is saying that. We have got to do it firsthand. So this is the first duty, which Prahlad Maharaj says, is to serve him. How could I leave this service? Now the question can be raised. Does the Lord appear to kill Hiranyakashipu? Is it only to fulfill Srila Prahlad Maharaj his promise or will, or Srila Narad Muni's? This is answered below. Let's read the answer here. I will finish the discussion. 5-7 more minutes. So he said, my Lord, O unlimited reservoir of transcendental qualities, you have killed my father Hiranyakashipu and saved me from his sword. He had said very angrily, if there is any supreme controller other than me, let him save you. I shall now sever your head from your body. See, this is where, and then he removed a sword to chop off his head. These are the last words of Hiranyakashipu. So therefore, I think that both in saving me and in killing him. You have acted just to prove true to the words of your devotee. There is no other cause. See, both ways. He's saying that in saving him and by killing Hiranyakashipu. Both ways, he has acted in a way to prove true to the words of his devotee. There is no other cause. Prahlad Maharaj says this. So he's giving the credit to somebody else. He don't say you came because of me. Srila Prabhupada says that the killing of Hiranyakashipu and saving Prahlad Maharaj also strictly followed this law of the Supreme Controller's activities. And what are those? What is that law? That law is given in Bhagavad Gita 9:29. Samoham sarva bhuteshu. I'm equal to everybody. Name dvesho asti na priyaha. I'm equal to all. I don't have any animosity with anybody. Ye bhajanti tu mam bhaktya mahite teshu chapyaham. It says the Supreme Lord of Personality of Godhead is undoubtedly equal to everyone. But those who worship him, ye bhajanti tu mam bhaktya, as a devotee, my by devotee. He is in me, I am in him. Simple. So undoubtedly the Supreme Personality of Godhead is equal to everyone. He has no friend and no enemy. But as one desires benefits from the Lord is very pleased to award them. The lower and higher positions of different living entities are actually due to their desires for the Lord. Being equal to all fulfills everyone's desires. So somebody becomes somebody's manager or owner, and you're working around somebody is based upon our desires, our past actions and karmas. So the killing of Hiranyakashipu and saving of Prahlad Maharaj also strictly followed this law of the Supreme Controller's activities. So when Prahlad's mother, Hiranyakashipu's wife, Kayadhu, was under the protection of Narad Muni, she prayed for the protection of her son from the enemy. Whose enemy? Indra, because they had kidnapped her. When Hiranyakashipu left her when she was pregnant, he was gone to meditate on Lord Brahma for so many thousands of years. He became a skeleton. Even the bones and flesh were over. Nothing remained. His body was full of ant hills. But still among that also, because the life air was there, the life air was passing through his skeletons. That way he was. Then Lord Brahma came. Imagine if we were to worship like this Krishna, how many of you can worship? When we have to fast one day, we can't even fast properly. Thinking about food all the time. Here he was fasting for so many thousands of years. Became skeleton, bones, flesh, everything gone. But the life air was still moving from the skeleton. Then Brahma came. So at that time, taking the opportunity, Indra, the other demigods, kidnapped Kayadhu. He says his son is there, no? We must take care of the son first, Hiranyakashipu's son. We don't want another demon coming. Prahlad Maharaj, at that time, Kayadhu requested, and she was saved by Narad Muni. Narad Muni says, don't worry, I'll take care of her. She will come with me. And that's when Indra and all they agreed. And at that time, in his ashram, Kayadhu requested, please save my son, unborn son. At that time, Narad Muni gave assurance that Prahlad Maharaj would always be saved from the enemy's hands. Whose enemy's hands? Any enemy's hands. Not only Indra. At that time, Kayadhu did not know the enemy would be his own father, own husband. So Narad Muni said, he will be saved from the enemy's hands. Thus, when Hiranyakashipu was going to kill Prahlad Maharaj, the Lord saved Prahlad Maharaj to fulfill his promise in Bhagavad Gita, Kaunteya Pratijani Namya Bhakta Pranashyati 9:31. And to prove true the words of Narad, That's why he came and killed Hiranyakashipu and saved Prahlad. So the Lord can fulfill many purposes through one action. Thus the killing of Hiranyakashipu and the saving of Prahlad Maharaj were enacted simultaneously to prove the truthfulness of the Lord's devotee and the fidelity of the Lord himself to his own purpose. So he promised it in Bhagavad Gita. My devotee never perishes. So the Lord acts only to satisfy the desire of his devotees. That's his business. Otherwise, he has nothing to do. He just enjoys himself. As confirmed in the Vedic language, natasya karyam karanam cha vidyate. The Lord has nothing to do personally. For everything is done by his different potencies. Parashya Shakti Vividhaiva Suyate. Chaitanya Madalila, 1365. Purport. So the Lord has multifarious energies through which everything is done. Thus, when he personally does something, it is only to satisfy his devotee. Otherwise, he doesn't have to do anything personally. Whenever he does anything personally, he satisfies his devotee. He spoke Bhagavad Gita personally to satisfy Arjuna. And through Arjuna, we are hearing. As it is, Prabhupada written, as it is. As Krishna spoke, as Arjuna heard, as we are hearing. And here also, Lord Narsimhadeva came personally to save Prahlad Maharaj because the promise was given by Narad Muni. He'll be saved by any enemies, by his enemies' hands. Once again, at the time, enemy was Indra. Not knowing, the mother did not know enemy would be her own husband, his own father. So the promise given by Narad Muni. So it is only to satisfy his devotee he comes personally. The Lord is known as Bhaktavatsala because he very much favors his devoted servant. I think at this point we should complete our discussion today. It's a little over the time, but I think we are quite all right. Hare Krishna. Jai Shri Narsimhadeva Bhagavan ki Jai. Shri Gurudev Sansatal Sannyas Acceptance Day ki Jai. Shri Prabhupada ki Jai. Thank God Chandra Premanande. Hari Hari Bol. Now, anyone has to say anything of today's whole program or any questions from anyone, please feel free. Hare Krishna. Okay, so we'll complete our discussion today. Jai. Grantharaj Srimad Bhāgavatam ki Jai. Srimad Bhagavad Gita as it is ki Jai. Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita ki Jai. Lord Narsimhadeva Transcendental Appearance Day ki Jai. Srila Gurudev Transcendental Sannyas Acceptance Day ki Jai. Srila Gurudev ki Jai. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Shri Nitai Gaur Chandra Premanande. Hari Hari Bol. Hare Krishna. So before we conclude and before we sing Maharaj, please hear us. Krishna willing, now next week I will have this program continuing, and I'll be in India, in Bharatvarsh, Pawan Bhumi, and I'll be reaching on Tuesday. So